Having our full attention provided Ferrari the chance to tell us plenty about the new 488 Spider and its turbocharged engine. The presentation covered pretty much everything, being detailed enough to include a slide entitled How the F-trac with SSC and F-trac deals with the demands of power on torque distribution. If we tried to summarize the whole thing, we would probably bust our monthly allocation of pixels. But we don't really need to, as pretty much everything bar the Spider's roof is identical to the 488 GTB we drove back in June. This brings the paradox. Because while the 488's customer base is seemingly split between these hard-driving alpha males and leathery debauchees, there's only really a single car, one that now has the option of a neat folding hardtop. It's not long since buying an open-topped Ferrari meant making significant sacrifices beyond merely the increased risks of acquiring skin cancer and a much younger wife. Spiders were the dynamic inferiors to their metal roof sisters, trading the opportunity to work on your tan and to better appreciate their wailing soundtracks for less performance, less precision, and a noticeable reduction in structural rigidity. In technical terms, a DNA swab would not separate the two cars. Ferrari tried to develop a separate suspension tune for the Spider but then realized that it worked best with the exact same spring and damper settings as the GTB. The adaptable systems apparently are quick-witted enough to effectively cancel out the slight differences in mass and structural strength. Ferrari is particularly proud of the vehicle response time of 0.06 of a second, this being the time between making a steering input and the car starting to react. It's the same for both cars and just as quick as the hardcore 458 Speciale. The roof is impressively clever. It's a two-part folding metal hardtop that can motor itself up or down in 14 seconds and at speeds of up to 25 miles per hour. When raised, the only thing that gives away its non-permanence is the line that marks the gap between the two painted panels plus the fact you can't see the engine. Once stowed, it hides invisibly beneath the rear panel that also conceals the rollover protection system behind the seats. An electric glass window at the rear acts as a wind deflector. With the roof down there's never any doubt you're driving an open-topped car. But there's little buffeting and at smaller throttle openings conversation can be conducted at comfortable volumes. From inside with the roof up, the cabin feels nearly identical to the GTB, with equally effective noise insulation. A really clever thing about the 488's battery of dynamic assistance systems is that you rarely notice them. With the monotone mode switch in Sport, the gentlest setting of urban wet, you can feel the stability system gently reining in excessive enthusiasm. Yet if you switch to race and drive with a similar level of commitment, the intervention threshold rises enough to effectively disappear, but without any of the adrenaline-spiking scariness you might expect from a turbocharged Ferrari with 50% more horsepower than the iconic F40. There's huge grip, deadly accuracy, and if you push enough electronically doped rear end flip to make you feel like a minor driving deity. Ferrari is often accused of arrogance, but the 488 Spider pretty much disproves the charge, certainly when it comes to product development, and Maranello doesn't rest on its vast stack of laurels anymore. The Spider could have been softer than the GTB, flabbier, slower, and less focused. Few of its boulevard cruising buyers would have minded, or even noticed. It doesn't sound quite as good as the 458 Spider in extremis, but in every other regard it's a better car. The 488 GTB is a remarkable feat of engineering, but the 488 Spider is indeed the greater one.